We live in a two-tier society. If you watch my channel and you watch my videos, you know this to be true. It's factually apparent from the evidence of your lying eyes. There was a large Islamist event down south over the weekend, and the British police made 12 arrests. Counter-terror police arrested 12 people over an alleged plot to attack a major Islamic gathering. That is how it was written up in the BBC. That's not the full story, those aren't the full facts, and I hope to bring a bit of clarity to what's actually happened here. We have British MPs in Parliament, first of all, saying that if you acknowledge that the white British indigenous population of Britain are more British than the new arrivals that have been given a passport, you are extreme and you are not meant to be in Parliament.
We should not mark this year's Windrush Day, also, Madam Deputy Speaker, without reflecting on the fact that there are political parties in our country now who are seeking to rewrite the definition of Britishness as based on ancestry alone, trying to create a false and completely unacceptable distinction between native Brits and non-native citizens, focused implicitly on whiteness. This is a divisive, abhorrent, and most importantly, completely inaccurate articulation of Britishness, and we must reject it with all our strength.
So that's the context. Everything I'm going to go through here is exactly what they want. They want to preserve the current system. They don't want you to ask questions. And if you do ask questions or challenge the narrative in any meaningful way, you're going to be arrested on counter-terrorism charges and likely placed in prison. These are just my thoughts. We're going to get into the actual detail. Shabana Mahmood, the Pakistani Muslim Home Secretary, who sometimes says she's a proud daughter of Kashmir and then other times says she's English, released this statement to the Commons earlier this week. So we're going to get into this first of all.
This weekend, an event in Suffolk was due to be attended by over 10,000 Muslims. Instead, it ended early because the police had become aware of a credible threat to the lives of those present. They acted with speed and skill, and I thank Suffolk Police, counter-terrorism policing, and the organisers for their swift and effective response.
First of all, the Muslim population in Britain is about 6.4%, according to recent statistics. I think that is a gross underestimate when you've got the leading boy's name in England being Mohammed repeatedly. Either it is true that there's only 6.4% of the population that are Muslims, at least registered on the census, or they're breeders and they're going to outbreed. Either way, who voted for this? The illegal dinghy divers coming over from France. Nobody voted for them to come over, and most of them are given indefinite leave to remain, no questions asked, not shopped back. And then the Home Secretary wants to bring them over legally now. They want safe and legal routes. So it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Nobody voted for this. Nobody asked for this. I do not consent. We do not consent. There is a distinction between a native British person and a new arrival. We are not the same. We don't think the same. We don't act the same. And we don't adhere to the same cultural norms. That much is clear. She is being completely disingenuous when she continues. She does omit specific and key information, which I'm going to get into, but we're going to let her continue.
Thanks to their actions, those attending the UK Ijtima in Barham were kept safe. 12 individuals have now been arrested as part of an investigation led by counter-terrorism police.
Apparently, some of them are still being held, and they're being charged, or at least they're suspected of attempted murder. I have credible information. I'm not at liberty to divulge the source, that this is blown out of all proportion. And obviously it has been blown out of all proportion, no pun intended, because the people who have been arrested are right-wing extremists. Now, if they've done things wrong, obviously that's why we have jury trials currently. That is why we need jury trials, to determine what the facts are. and then the Crown can try its case, and then a jury of their peers can decide if they're guilty or not. Wouldn't it be much simpler for the state to decide that you're guilty, arrest you, not give you a jury trial, and then lock away the key and never let you out because you had wrong speak, wrong think, malign intentions from their point of view? Just a thought, just something for you to think about.
Which they describe as extreme right-wing terrorism related.
Yet when you get Sam Mellier, the guy, the father, saying that we're going to be a minority on our homeland and putting up stickers to that effect, he gets over 2 years in prison. That's what counts as right-leaning terrorism or extremism in Britain. Or you get podcasters or YouTubers like the Scottish bloke Craig Houston getting arrested when he comes back into the country from Greece on counter-terrorism charges. Hit pieces, smear pieces all over the Scottish papers saying he is a terrorist, he is a right-leaning extremist, allegedly. I've spoken to Craig on many occasions. He's nothing of the sort. I would vouch for that in court as a character reference or witness, and I've never met the guy. Just long, in-depth conversations online, and you get a feel and an understanding of what people are like, and I hope I give you that from me on videos like this. All facts, not emotion, and just shooting from the hip and speaking my mind.
This investigation is at an early stage and we must give them space to pursue their lines of inquiry, and I know the police will provide further updates, but let me say we must all stand united against hatred. The actions of a minority are not who we really are as a country, and we should never be defined by those who plot violence against their fellow countrymen and women.
The post-war consensus and the British Nationality Act, they need to go. Nobody consented to our citizenship, Scots, English, Welsh and Irish, under our Union Jack, being given away like confetti to third world migrants without even the courtesy of asking us. Nobody voted for it. So when she's parroting this stuff in the comments, always remember their worldview, their current consensus, we never voted for, they never asked. Now, information based on this Islamic event down south, and I specifically use the word Islamist and not Islam because people conflate the two. I want to make that distinction clear for the record on this video. So I'm going to bring this up now. Let's bring this up now. Shabana Mahmood's hypocrisy on the ITMA. Shabana Mahmood condemns the extreme right-wing terrorism, Wibble Bobble, Jonathan Ross, against the ITMA in Suffolk, where 12 arrested threatening Muslims allegedly. Nothing's been proven, we still have due process. She forgets to mention that Saudi Arabia banned Tabalangi Jamaat, calling it one of the gates terrorism, and it's also banned in Iran, whatever that country is, foreign names, and Kazakhstan prohibit ISWA activities for extremist concerns and connotations. We've not, in Britain. This is the liberal worldview for you, in action. The Islam nations of the world have banned these events because they encourage extremism. Britain has not done that. She forgets that Pakistan has banned them from universities for radicalising students. That's the same Pakistan that won't take away that nonce that's just been released. They won't take their nonce back, and we're forced to provide for them in our country. They have banned these events, but we haven't in Britain. Muslim countries ban these groups for extremism, and yet Shabana Mahmood condemns anyone who questions them in Britain. The hypocrisy is staggering, double standard, blatant, and Muslim nations protect themselves, and Britain is told to celebrate. Because, of course, diversity is a strength, and we cannot look back in anger. What do you think? Do you think I'm barking up the right tree here, or not? When we understand that 90% of the MI5 terror watch list is Muslim, you get a feel for the problem. Now, apparently, the 6.4% of the population translates to just over 4 million. That number is a few years out of date, so it's likely higher now. When you translate the 90% into real numbers, it turns out it's about 1% or just under 1%. So every one out of 100 Muslims you'll meet in the street is on the MI5 terror watch list. But they clamp down on the right-leaning extremists, not the left-leaning extremists, and not people who are actually a danger to the country. We're going to end this here. You juxtapose this where you get the alleged right-leaning extremist arrested either at Edinburgh Airport, if you're a right-leaning podcaster in Scotland, or they come down on you like a ton of bricks. I've not seen the evidence. They may be guilty of heinous acts or plotting heinous violence. I choose to remain sceptical, definitely. When you look at the fact of they put Tommy in prison all the time, they done that to Sam Mellier, countless other people, and what's happening to Craig Houston up there, up in Scotland, I remain sceptical. I remain sceptical that if you're right-leaning, you're the target, you're what needs to be stopped. Then you juxtapose that against what happened to Anne Widdecombe last week. We have a guy that is a communist, got all the communist propaganda up in his house in Rotherham. He takes allegedly a round trip down south, bludgeons an old lady to death, and then goes back up home, has a pizza on the way. That's not extremism, that's not terrorism, that's not anything, according to the Cornwall police. And then because they made a huge balls up and cock up, they've had to do a complete 180, and now it is because the counter-terrorism police are involved in that too. There is a blind spot with Prevent, the counter-terrorism organisation that's meant to be even-handed. They're never even-handed. They give the Islamists, who make up the majority of the terrorist threat in Britain, carte blanche, and they have a sympathetic Home Secretary that'll crack down on me like a ton of bricks. But if you are right-leaning, then you go into prison, and that's why they want to get rid of jury trials. Now, I hope I've been fair, I hope I've been balanced, but this is my view on the matter. You let me know if Islamists are ruling the roost in Britain, and do you think it's genuine ignorance on the part of our rulers? They don't actually see the threats? Or do they think they are afraid of retaliation, reprisals from the 1 in 100 extremists that are on the terror watch list and what they may do if the British state comes down on them like a ton of the bricks, like everybody else? Always remember as well, the final thing I'll leave on is, we have no vetting of separating good Muslims from bad Muslims. We have no vetting, all right? Major Islamic countries like the UAE and Saudi do have that vetting. They've purged their extremist elements from Islam in these nations, and the overspill is coming to the West, is coming to Europe, and we have no safety net for this. So even if you want to make the argument that the majority of Muslims are peaceful, it makes no difference because we're not separating out the wheat from the chaff currently. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening. Have a good morning. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.